Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone for teaching us his truth. Salutations to the sincere Akim and Aquath that may listen. May the blessing of election be over your house. My name is Brother Okwai. I'm back in here with another lesson. And for today's lesson is going to be a bit of an exhortation, and it is titled "Jealousy is an Invitation for Satan." Right. So, and what inspired this lesson? I was just out for a walk with one of my older brothers, in the camp this week, and we were just catching up, talking about things, and talking about some scriptures, and this is one of the topics that came up, right? So I thought about it yesterday, and I thought, okay, let me see if I can, how Ratazar turn this into an edifying lesson, right? So Brakath Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, right? So let's get into that. So jealousy is an invitation, for Satan, right? And what that means is that having sometimes, you might have, particular things. This is just something to also be mindful of yourself as well as being mindful of other brothers, right? But this is something, even I myself have experienced, right? So this is just something to also be mindful of, this feeling of jealousy. As a matter of fact, let's get the word first, so we have an idea to start, right? We have a goalpost. Okay, so here it says enthusiasm, love, longing, jealousy, keen, zealous, avaricious. Let's see, solicitude, carefulness, regard, watchfulness, right? Let's get as a matter of fact, let's get avaricious. Here it says miserly, stingy, greedy, covetous, right? So this is the along the lines of what we were discussing, right, in regards to jealousy, because the Heavenly Father through His Son has blessed different brothers in the camp with different gifts, different talents, as well as even physical, that even boils down to the physical things as well. Some brothers have a nice car, house, things of that nature, right? And and the scriptures talk about covetousness, right? And the things that even a brother can actually have certain those things. The scriptures to remind us to not covet the things that another person might have, right? Or even, and even that even goes into the skills as well, the skills, the talents that a brother might have, right? Because a lot of brothers, that would be, that can lead to a feeling of being jealous, right? And even further, it's just an invite to get Satan in and actually cause you to do something, and cause you to, get carnal, say something out of term, this and that nature, right? So let's get to the scriptures really quickly. And let's go from there, right? Hopefully, Yahweh Ratazah, this is making sense, right? Davis 31. Okay, this is Luke chapter 22, verse 31, and it says, and the Lord Yahweh said, Simon, Simon, behold, Satan desired to have you, that he may sift you as wheat. But I have prayed for thee, that thy faith fail not. When thou art converted, strengthen thy brethren, right? So this is very important because, Satan is out here. He's busy. He's always on the clock, looking for opportunities to to cause you to go off, essentially, right? When you read about the chapter in Job, Satan, not Satan, Slakia, the Most High Yahweh asked Satan, whence comest thou? And Satan replies, going to and fro on the earth, right? So Satan is very, very busy, right? So this is something to keep in mind, right? So, if there is something that you see that another brother, whether it's a skill, something intangible that they have, a skill, or possess a certain kind of knowledge in a particular field that pertains to the truth, as well as or even something tangible, right? And you start feeling some kind of animosity, right? You kind of want what that brother has. That is an invitation for Satan to get in, to cause you to go off and get carnal, right? You might say something out of term, you might do something, and it's a cause you to knock you off of your spiritual game, right? um okay, this is First Peter's chapter 5 verse 8, and it reads, "Be sober and be vigilant, because your adversary the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking who he may devour," right? So it's always so this is just also going into being vigilant, also being vigilant, of your things that you might feel. And being sober means that being clear-minded, right? Because like the point I was making before, Satan is very busy. He has jobs. He has a stack, a bunch of appointments. He's very busy, getting people to go off their game, right? So this is just something to also keep in mind, right? If there's like a little chink or so in the armor, he's trying to get in, he can attack you, right? Cause you to transgress, right? So these are just precepts to actually keep in mind, right? And top of that, we're in this flesh, and this flesh is very wicked, and it holds us back, right? So let's get 7. Okay, this is First Corinthians chapter 5, verse 7, and it reads, "And purge out therefore the old leaven, that ye may be a new lump, as ye are unleavened. For even Yahushua Mashiach, our Passover, is sacrificed for us. Therefore, let us keep the feast, not with old leaven, neither with the leaven of malice, of wickedness, but the unleavened bread of sincerity and truth," right? So, first off, you might read this and think, okay, this, yes, is referring to the Passover, right? And one of the things of the Passover is that we take the unleavened out of our houses, right? But to also add a spiritual aspect to this is the fact that when we are born again in the spirit, so to speak, and we become these newborn babes in the truth, you understand that there are a lot of things in the world, a lot of things that are contrary to the scriptures that we put off, right? So a lot of the behaviors, my one of my older brothers, he referred it to as gunk, right? You have a car, and you drive it for a long time, and a lot of gunk builds up, right? And if you don't do the oil change, the gunk keeps building up, right? So That's spiritual, actually. Wow. The So when you go for an oil change, it helps to keep things lubricated, right? Removes that old gunk, right? But let's where was I? I'll read verse 8 again. And therefore, let's keep the feast, not with old leaven, neither with leaven of malice, wickedness, and unleavened bread, but the unleavened bread of sincerity and truth. Right. So, when we get together, we have to make sure, there is none of these habits, none of these feelings of malice. So you don't want to have any sort of ill feelings towards other brothers that are beside you, right? Or any sort of kind of wickedness, that you have towards other brothers, right? Right. And a lot of these things, you may not have these feelings, but when sometimes, we might notice that, a brother is particularly has a gift in particular areas, and we think that, okay, you know, we might admire some of these gifts essentially, but this can, if you're not paying attention to these feelings, these thoughts, right, it can lead to Satan coming in and causing you to transgress, right? So let's jump down. Okay. Okay, let's read verse. Okay, I'm going to continue reading here. It says, I wrote unto you in an epistle not to company with fornicators, yet not altogether with the fornicators of this world, or with the covetous, or extortioners, nor or idolaters, Salakia, for then must ye needs to go out of the world. But now I have written unto you not to keep company, if any man called a brother be a fornicator, or a covetous, or an idolater, or a railer, or a drunkard, or an extortioner, with such an one, no, not one to eat. Right. So, it's it's very, very important to not to shun these practices, right? And the scriptures talk about you know as a matter of fact, let me just grab it. Colossians, just bear with me 1 second. Okay, Colossians chapter 3 verse 9. Neither not lie to another, seeing that ye have put off the old man and his deeds, right? So that unleavened is that old leaven is referring to a lot of that's when you look at it spiritually, it refers to those old ways that we had in the world, right? And Babylon the Great enables a lot of these things that just was listed in 1 Corinthians 5. Somebody being a drunkard, fornication, idolatry. These are all old ways of the spirit of the world, essentially. Let me just correct myself there, right? Ye have put off the old man with his deeds, right? And verse 10, and it reads that ye have put on a new man that is renewed in knowledge after the image of him that created him, right? So this is very, very important that we put on, we put on Yahweh Shai, right? Remember to put on Yahweh Shai and think about what Yahweh Shai will do, and apply Yahweh Shai as well, in our day-to-day lives, right? Let's get Sirach. As a matter of fact, let's get the word covetous. Give me 1 second. Okay, covetous in the etymology, and it reads inordinately desirous to obtain and possess, avaricious, desirous, covetous, eager, ambition, very desirous, right? And that is the culture that is constantly being promoted, especially in Babylon, and here in Canada, UK, and in these Western nations, right? That is the constant. Is always about things to possess. They it's a constant accumulation of stuff, right? And you find that a lot of people here are so depressed. That's the irony, because it's such a materialistic culture where the people are so obsessed with constantly accumulating stuff, the latest this, the latest that, the new iPhone. And what happens, they're constantly, especially you Israelites, you're famished inside. You don't have any substance inside, right? You don't have any spiritual understanding inside of how to guide you throughout these in the midst of these places, right? As a matter of fact, I have a quick precept. This is one of my favorites. Let me just grab this and then I'll get back to Sirach just to back up my point. Okay, this is Isaiah 55 verse 1, and it reads, Ho, that everyone that thirsteth, come ye to the waters, and he that hath no money, come ye, buy and eat, yea, come, buy wine and milk without money and without price. Wherefore do ye spend money that which is not bread, and your labor that satisfy not? So I know our people constantly go into these different institutions, trying to get some kind of understanding of themselves and understanding of the world and understanding of of their own culture, so-called culture, right? And they don't have they're constantly famished. They don't have a place where they can they don't have a place that gives. They're looking for a place to give them to to satiate their souls, right? But they don't want to hearken to the law. They don't want to hearken to the scriptures, Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, and the elders and the prophets on down, right? All right, hearken diligently unto me, and eat ye which is good, and let your soul delight itself in fatness. So that is, eating this truth, right? Taking in the scriptures and having the sweet as well as the bitter, right? That is Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai supping with you, right? That's in Revelation 3. Okay, let's go back to Sirach. Okay, this is Sirach 14, verse 9. And it reads, A covetous man's eye is not satisfied with his portion, and the iniquity of the wicked drieth up his soul. Right? So this is this is very, very straightforward. But a person who is covetous, they're constantly looking to acquire, get more, and truly, and there's nothing wrong with getting more wisdom and understanding, but looking at some things that other brothers have, that is just being something to be mindful of, being mindful of, right? Because that could just lead for Satan, to come in, essentially, right? If you're not being mindful of these things, right? Whether it's intangible things as well as tangible things, right? Let's get okay, this is Titus chapter 2 verse 12, and it reads, teaching us that denying ungodliness and worldly lusts, we should live soberly, righteously, and godly in this present world, right? So that's very, very straightforward, and a lot of those ungodly things, if you go down and you read the fruits of the flesh, I believe in Galatians 5, after the 16th or 17th verse, such as like idolatry and covetousness and and drunkard, drunken behavior, and learning how to be upright, learning how to be righteous and upright citizens and ambassadors of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, right? So living soberly, so living clear-minded, right? Because this world is filled with darkness, right? And the elect are likened unto having and shining a light in the midst of this darkness, right? So anyways, I know I kind of rambled on for a little bit. Yahweh Ratazah, this is an edifying lesson. And just something to keep in mind, when you're amongst other brothers, and, being mindful, of, Satan trying to get in, essentially, right? So anyways, hopefully this video was edifying, and I just like to give our praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone for teaching us his truth. Till next time, I say Shalom.